I was giving you a lot of credit for like actually
Start
analyzing the
off. Look,
food.
just listening.
Yeah, for actually analyzing the food. But also, I remember like you were fasting that day, so I'm like, of course you love this food. But then again,
Yeah, I was gonna say anything you put in front of this guy, he's gonna eat. No, no, no.
Oh
It
yeah.
was.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you.
All right, I got it right.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
hello everybody, and welcome to the weekly brought to you by Pocketnow Next Day Developers, recorded on this day, May 10th. It is Friday. This episode hopefully will be coming out a little bit later on this very day. However, we are back in our respective studios. I have a couple of very special guests with me this week. We're going to be talking all about Google I/O, but as you can see, we are not using a Google service in order to record this podcast. We're back on Skype with OBS. It went so well last week that we are continuing with it, and I'm happy to have these two with me. Let's start off with the attendee of Google I/O, TK Bay. What's going on, man?
How are you guys? It's been a while. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen you, Josh, of course, and David. It's been some time, and I hope to be able to hang out with you very, very soon.
Yeah,
Doing
man,
good.
for sure.
Doing good. Keeping busy. Let's try to say.
Yeah,
Keeping busy.
you and I, we actually hung out on the first day of I/O. Well,
Yeah.
no, the day before I/O.
Well, yeah. Well, no, the morning. No, yeah, the day before, exactly. Yeah, we started up in that morning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We had a couple of meetings that day, and then I actually went with you. If anyone saw my Instagram stories, I went with you to the freaking registration,
Googleplex.
only to not attend at all.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't have
I
a
know.
QR code,
Wow.
but I bet I'm willing to bet that I could have talked to somebody, and they would have been like, "Oh, you're already there. Just come in."
You're physically here. You went through the whole walk around, and yeah, no, it was. And then you gave us a tour, which is really even better than
Oh, that's
we went
true.
through it.
Yeah, we went
Googleplex.
walking around and we looked at all the statues, which are in decay. I don't know, Cogen, if you've ever seen. By the way, David Cogen, the Unlockr, joining us this week. By the way, in front of a very beautifully put together set. By the way.
Who, me?
Yeah. Look
Yeah.
at that.
No, it's just it's a corner of my room.
Really?
Like my apartment. Yeah, I just really quickly put some lights up, which is making it look nicer, but these are all little trinkets that I don't know what to do with.
I know, that's a good look. I see
Thanks.
two. Okay, let me see if I can name off a few of these things there. So you have your Android stuff there. You
They're
have
literally just things that we get sent.
Exactly.
Like, it's so sad.
Is that a real succulent? Those two?
This one?
Yeah.
No.
It's not real.
Nah. Neither is this one.
That's awesome, because you and I talked a little bit earlier. Didn't you buy some succulents? We talked about this.
Yes, I notoriously suck at keeping plants alive. That includes succulents. I kill them all.
Yep.
So literally, I bought more because they were on sale, and I'm thinking like for $6, even if I kill them,
Yeah.
it's not that bad.
It's not too
but
bad, no.
I'm
and then-
trying. I either water them too much or too little. I don't understand how they work.
And then I see both Qualcomm cups at the top there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's basically just like a Qualcomm shrine up here, which is weird,
Yeah.
I guess. They're cool.
I'm assuming those are from the Maui trips.
Yeah, they're basically at the very last day they give you these to drink out of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, but they look like so they have that Maui.
Tiki mugs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tiki mugs is exactly. And then of course no one's talking about those Snapchat specs. No one does anyway, so doesn't matter.
No, to me they're relics. That's why they're there.
Exactly.
They're like,
If you see that,
failed
yellow line,
here.
that yellow circle on the temples, that means it was the very old one, not even the new one.
yeah, it's the original.
Yep.
It's OG failed product.
Yeah.
Not the next failed product.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so thank you so much, guys, for being on. Obviously, we're going to talk about Google I/O this week. There were a lot of announcements. First of all, TK, you were there live in the flesh, actually watching the keynote happen. And I kind of wanted to ask, like, you were saying that this was your first Mountain View Amphitheater I/O, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely, and it was an experience. It was an amazing experience. So last time I was there, the I guess the way just the entire experience was set more of a we didn't have stadium seating. Maybe that's what made it so much better. In the original back at the original show, where back in 2013, the last time I was there. It was basically all chairs in a big conference room. Everybody was watching. You had to kind of look up and look around. But the stadium seating was just made it so much better, and they actually installed a shade now. I don't know if you guys like from what they learned from last year, because I was talking to Jaime and I'm talking to some of the other guys, and they're like, "Oh yeah, they put a shade there. They included sunscreen in the little baggies they were giving out to people."
We used to burn
people
up.
were in pain last year, is what you're telling me?
We
That's
used to
basically
burn
what they
up.
say.
The last time I went was 2 years ago, and I remember the sun started to peak from behind the stage. And slowly but surely, we started to see tweets of people like, I'm melting.
No, I could definitely see that. But the weird thing, again, as you know, Josh, the weather was actually kind of cool. We had overcast for a while, so it was just perfect. Just, it's like they overdid it for that weather kind of thing.
Yeah,
when they
I was
fix
complaining the day that I was there, as I usually do about San Francisco. I'm just not a big fan of the Bay Area, but as I alienate maybe like a third of our audience. But it was actually kind of cold up there with the sun still blaring down. But it's nice to see that they've made that shade. But there's still that building right on the campus that they're constructing that looks like a weird, like, I don't know. It looks like another theater that they're making. Anyway,
it's an entire Matt. I'm not even. It just looks so big, but we don't even get a chance to get close to it. But yeah, we passed it walking. You see it when you're going in. It just maybe maybe by next year. It looks almost done, so most of the structure looks pretty much there.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna get your thoughts on the keynote in a little bit. Cogen, did you watch it live streamed?
Nope.
Really? Oh, okay.
Nope.
but you're pretty. But okay, so why not though? Like, why not? Because this is Google's huge announcement for the year, and obviously it gave birth to the thing that was leaked all to hell. But yeah, your thoughts on why didn't you watch the keynote? Why were you not interested in what Google had to say, or what?
There's a few reasons. Well, honestly, like I was just busy, and like I was kind of running around and doing other things, and so I was just like, you know what? I did what I'm sure a lot of people do, and I was like, you know what? I'll just watch or read the recap later, and that's basically what I did. And like I don't feel like I really missed too much. Like as you're talking about, this thing is like kind of the biggest news there, and we all knew everything about it before they even started talking. But yeah, like that's, and then of course I had one, so like I was kind of just interested in kind of messing with it and not, hearing all of the other things beforehand before I got to like play with it. But
yeah,
that's fine.
I mean, so the two of you, I'm not going to give too much information away, but the two of you were sent these phones, right?
Okay.
So yeah, well, mine after the fact.
Oh yeah, you were at the actual.
Yeah,
event.
I was at the event, and then so there was a few, I would say few select that had access to them a few days before.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. So what was funny was I flew back from Mountain View, from Bay Area, from San Jose, and the moment I got home was when the keynote started. So I'm kind of sitting here like I could have just been sitting in that audience, and then 45 minutes into the actual keynote, they were like, "Pixel 3a available now." So I just turned it off and went straight to Best Buy. And what was funny was because of the leak that happened from Best Buy, they were being very careful. They were like, "Is it today? Go look it up real quick. It's today." And I'm looking at them like, it's today, guys. Like,
you go to like
show them the
talking about it right now.
Exactly.
On the phone.
There it is. Yeah, it's on the stage.
yeah,
Right?
I was like, Google execs literally got on stage 20 minutes ago and said available today. And the best part was that I called Verizon, I called T-Mobile first. I knew Best Buy had it. Everyone knew Best Buy had it. But
Behind a glass case.
exactly. So I called Verizon first. I called T-Mobile next, and they both said like, we don't have any of them. I'm like, that how? Like they literally said it's available today. How do you not have any of them in stock? And they were like, I don't know, corporate just didn't send us any. Yeah, I'm like, this is really weird. So that's why I went to Best Buy. But there were a lot of other announcements that were obviously announced on stage. We were talking about a lot of ecosystem stuff. So Android Q is something that we'll talk about in a little bit. I do want to get a quick question off to the two of you. Let's have a little bit of fun at the beginning of this cast. What do you guys think Android Q is going to stand for?
Oh. I haven't even thought about that. It's obviously got to be a suite, right?
Yeah.
I don't know too many suites that start with Q.
Well, Quick was the only one, but that's a brand.
They're not going to do that. They did that with KitKat. They'll never do that again.
That was
right? Because they probably had to pay for that, and there was a partnership and all this other bull
Also, it's
stuff.
called Nesquik now, right? Isn't it? Like,
yeah, I don't think it's called Quick. I don't know, actually.
Yeah.
I haven't drank stuff in a long time.
I think there.
Now I kind of want
one. In Hong Kong, there's actually a candy bar called Quick.
Oh, okay.
And it's an orange flavor version of a Kit Kat. So
interesting, but I still feel like that's a brand. Like that don't.
Yeah, and plus it kind of looks like Kit Kat again because it's the candy itself is a. So that's why I was like, I'm not sure. There's like the Q.
Well, I was trying to put you. I was trying to put you as an investigator, TK, because I
asked. I talked to a whole bunch of people. Nobody would even.
They're not.
They look at me and they say, "Huh, Yeah, Q. That's what we have right
Because
now.
I remember when Android O was coming out, it was so obvious because in the lunch area there were just Oreos everywhere. So it was like, what else can it be called? Come on.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
This year, LaCroix, I don't know if I'm butchering the name, but basically LaCroix was everywhere. So, but there was nothing Q
That's
related.
just the Bay Area. I don't feel like that.
But I literally felt like I went to their headquarters. It was like literally like massive buckets as you're walking around. You almost hit them if you don't look for them. So, but there was no direct indicator of what it could be as far as the dessert, because
I hear quinoa, I hear quiche. None of them sound right.
None of those are sweet. They have to be sweet.
Yeah. So I'm honestly at this. So here is something. I did hear from somebody saying that when they look at the letter Q, or the way Q is drawn, it kind of looks like two numbers, right? So
it looks like a 10.
Like a 10, right? So it kind of looks like a 0 with with a 1 through it. So the question would be, is it possible that we may be deviating from it? But I don't know. I can't figure out what Q. I don't know.
If they just call it 10, I'm gonna be so mad. Like
you'll feel like Android OS 10.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Android 10, and they're all
like, why don't we just call it the iPhone? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Well, before we get into like Android, and the Pixel 3a is going to be the anchor of this show. It'll be the last half of it. Are there any reactions that you had to the ecosystem stuff? We had Google Nest. I actually just installed the Nest, by the way, so I'm actually totally into this. But Google Nest, so Google Nest Hub, is that what they decided to call that?
Nest. There's the Nest Hub, and then there's the Nest Hub Max.
Oh God, Max. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it with this? Do you have any like smart home stuff? Like what do you guys use? I'm still away from Amazon. I don't use anything from Amazon still.
I have actually 90%, I would say, Google-based services. I have two Amazon. I just almost said her name. I have two Amazon assistants.
Please don't say the name.
No, they're both sitting in
all around.
Oh, do you have Kogan?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I even changed my keyword on mine to be the other one, and I can't say that one. But the short answer is I have two of them, but I keep them in the office. But around the house, smart displays, Google. I'm very much vested in the Google ecosystem.
All right.
So the Home Hub, the Nest Hub, the bigger one would definitely be something to complement, like let's say in the living room or so on.
Well, because there's so Google Home, Google Home Max, Google Home Hub, right? And now it's all going to be Nest Max,
Home.
Nest Hub, and all that. The naming conventions are just so ridiculous.
But what I'm wondering is, they didn't say anything about renaming the existing like Google Homes, right? Because those are still called Home, Home Mini, Home Max. So, but they took the smart displays, which essentially is a Google Home with a display. So I'm not, it was a little bit confusing, but it looked really nice. I had a chance to play with the one, so it's actually pretty good and limited functionality of what they could show us.
Okay. Do you have a Home Hub or some sort of like smart display, Kogan? Didn't we all get the? We all got the Lenovo one, right?
It, actually, and I was looking at it and trying to remember what it's called.
It's the smart, the Lenovo Smart Display.
No, I have the Google one with the screen.
Oh, the Home Hub, the tiny one.
It's called Home Hub, right? Okay.
Yeah. I have one sitting right below my monitor.
We keep saying the words Home Hub and Nest so many times that I'm confused.
Well, it's just called now the Nest Hub.
By the way, they're all synonyms: Home, Nest, Hub. So what the frick? We're being redundant in the names of these products. Yeah.
Wait. So what is this now called? TK, did you just say this now has a different name?
Yeah, no. So they changed it from the Home Hub to the Nest Hub.
Oh my God.
So now that's the Nest Hub.
It's under the Nest umbrella of So and then the big one is the next Nest Hub.
It's part of the Nest.
Yeah. Well, it's because the camera on the Max is actually a Nest cam.
Yes.
Yeah, which makes sense.
That I like. So, I like that a lot.
And actually, I like that feature. Yeah, it's really nice.
I'm looking for security cameras for my family home, and I feel like getting one of I actually wanted to say, like, don't buy anything, parents, because we'll get this big one, this Max. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, but we want more than one camera. I was like, oh, well, I can't help you there.
Well, Cloud Cam. That's what we tell them to do after that.
Oh, yeah.
Or you get like those smart, they make smart cameras, they're like $30.
That's true. I did find
Last
those, and you know what? Like, smarting up an office has been like my project over the last couple of weeks. So, for example, like if I were to, I have my smart display right here. So if I were to, I don't know if you'll be able to see it behind me. Boom, there you go. And then
yeah.
Oh, I'm not even showing it on camera here. Let me do it one more time. I had it on Kogan the entire time, but there you go. But
Nice.
yeah, so this whole the smart home stuff is starting to become like very prevalent, and with Nest actually becoming part of the Google umbrella, the Hub Max, TK, you said that it actually looked pretty cool. The camera, yes, the security camera I feel is really awesome, but did the sound do anything for you? Because I remember the Google
sound
Home
was fantastic.
Really?
Fantastic. Oh, yes. No. Now, of course, it was in a controlled environment. We were in a room. The doors were closed. Everything is going to sound great. But the overall sound experience, comparing it to the Home Hub, it's definitely about, I would say, 5 times louder and just fuller as far as the sound. They have 2 tweeters and a woofer in the back that gives them just more space for acoustics. But it also has a bigger speakers on it. So that's the overall, take the Home Hub, the Nest Hub, and just literally 3 times bigger and use. Yeah, I'm gonna I made a whole bunch of mistakes in the video. I think by the end of the video that I did, I referred to it as the Home Hub and the Home Hub Max, inadvertently just reverting back to the original names.
It makes
It's hard.
sense. Google loves changing the names of their products for no reason.
No, yeah, it's.
But like, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, I know.
Somebody at Nest wanted it. Somebody was like, guys, come on, like put our name on it.
Yeah, that's Hub.
just like that too. That's exactly how they told Google.
It's just how they said it. They came up to whoever was in charge and went, come on.
You know what was so interesting though about this keynote? Like I just talked about the Nest. We're gonna talk about Android Q in a second. There wasn't a whole lot else though. I feel like this was actually kind of a bare Google I/O, and they even said at the beginning of that keynote, like we're gonna try our best to keep this under 2 hours, and that's exactly what they did. It was only 1 hour and 40 minutes. So I was like, huh.
There was a few things. I mean, some of the other things they covered in there were more under the hood. The Google Transcribe option, some of the refinements to the Google Assistant, having it more run locally as opposed to on the web. Mm-hmm. So those are more optimizations, which we expect from them whenever they do software optimizations on Android. But yeah, no, big things would definitely be Q, 3A, and Nest Hub Max.
Nest products.
Did you
uncover anything during the sessions during like post keynote? Did you uncover anything while you were running around the amphitheater in that place that tries so hard to look like a festival, but it's so not?
The way they explain it, I mean, right. I mean, when you're walking around, they make it feel like it's like an experience of the. We were able to uncover a few things. So we got a chance to play around with the Android Auto stuff. That was just kind of wasn't even mentioned, but we knew it was coming. And then we also went into the sandbox, and in the sandbox we had access to a lot of devices that had like early builds of Android Q for devices that you may not even know, like the Mate 20 Pro running Android Q, with EMUI 9 on top of it. We saw some, and I posted that on Twitter. I ran into a few demo devices running 5G. They had a 5G station there that they were running them, and there was a certain, I'm going to say OnePlus Disguise device. And I can say OnePlus only because there was a logo on the back of that very well hidden device on it, and it was running 5G connection tests. And then they had I think a Reno there, so there was a lot of different things going on
at Google I/O.
Exactly, and it was running 5G, and that's makes me wonder so they wouldn't tell me what carrier. They wouldn't let me run a speed test, and that the unnamed
OnePlus Wi-Fi
device. Maybe I don't know. And then the only thing we could do with the OnePlus device was actually browse YouTube. It was locked. It was the app. I think YouTube app was pinned, and you couldn't get out of it.
Oh, all right.
So it was mostly a demo of how fast you're able to switch or seek time, and they turn on stats for geeks inside of YouTube, and they let you see the basically the latency and how good the performance of the network is.
Settings I never look at.
But essentially that's how they could prove that you're running a 5G connection as opposed to
totally
actually running that. So they had to show you the stats. So other than that, but we couldn't really film most of it because it doesn't really it was mostly just an experience kind of thing. But it was exciting. There was a lot of cool things going on. I was only able to stay there for one day, unfortunately, so I didn't get a chance to see all of the other things on day 2. Michal, our editor at XDA, stayed.
Yeah. And also I got to stay with the XDA guys, TK and Michal, and they had the entire house to themselves. And it was funny because TK and I were going to leave. Michal was going to have an entire home to himself, like
exactly.
a 2-bedroom with a huge living room. It was awesome.
Massive place. Yeah, I know. It's a nice place.
Yeah. All right. So Android Q. We'll get into this for a little bit. Okay. So I did a roll call with everybody with their Pixel 3a. So everyone here, they have. I think the both of you have both of them. And
I don't.
Oh,
I only have this one.
Which one's that? The XL?
Baby.
Oh, the
3A.
baby one. 3A. Okay, so 3A right here. And yours looks like it's that purplish one, right?
It's purple-ish.
Yeah, Best
So
Buy
we all
did
got
not
the
have the
purple.
purplish. I have the white one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I got the purplish as well, but in the XL model.
Oh, okay. Is there any reason why you haven't? Do you normally not try the as the unlocker? How come you don't have your Android Q beta on yet?
So, because as soon as I got this thing, I've been filming it, and I wanted to do my day in the life, which I'm currently editing right now.
Gotcha.
And like wanted to do a day in the life using the phone like your average person would. But yeah, no. As soon as there's that video, and I'm gonna do the complete walkthrough next. Once those are done, then I'll be putting Q on it and messing around with that.
Yeah. This is beta 3 though, right?
Want to know that as well, right?
Yeah. This
It's
is beta 3, so
3,
you
but-
haven't used any of the previous ones, have you? Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's beta 3, but it's first public.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I usually go
Right.
for RC. I usually wait for RC before I even touch any of the Android like early editions, because normally something bad happens. Like I have a lot of people on my tweets right now saying that like Google Pay is not working, bank apps are not working, and that's a big deal. So that's one big problem. Oh, I just remembered. I just said tweets. There is one more thing. I want to put some B-roll up of this. But did you guys see Sherlin's tweet about Android Wear or Wear OS?
No.
No.
Okay,
What
I'm
happened?
gonna put it up on screen right now.
Do you want me to look?
Yeah,
I'll look.
go ahead and try to find it. And basically, Sherlin of Engadget, Sherlin Lowe, and Chris Velasco, the both of them were there on behalf of Engadget, and she said that during a fireside chat. So try to find that one. During a fireside chat with Android developers or whoever the Android team was at the time, they asked about Wear OS, and the responses were hilariously sad. Like the guys who were giving that fireside chat basically said, is there anybody here? No, we didn't hear anything about Wear OS, and it doesn't look like there's anything going on with Wear OS right now here at Google I/O. Is that a problem? Is there something we should know about Wear OS? And then the person giving the fireside chat basically said, is there anybody here from the Wear OS team? And nobody raised their hands, and he leaned in and said, does that answer your question, Sherlin? I was like, dang, they're throwing shade at themselves.
I found it. Wait here.
All right, go ahead and read that off.
Can you guys see that? Oops. Wait. How about that? Does that work or no?
Let me check.
No, it's still on you.
Oh, God damn it. I was trying to share my screen, but it's not. Hold, please. Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're sharing your screen, but
Ta-da! Can you see now?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the B-roll up right now because using the Skype.
Well, this is just for so TK can read it too. I guess.
exactly.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. It's so funny. But then, of course, like the follow-up to this tweet, in the thread is that somebody at the fireside chat said, "Oh, they're somewhere else." So just to cover it up.
That's
man.
funny.
Then that's crazy.
Wow.
Like, why? So I've been all over the place in terms of like what we're talking about with Google I/O. But I guess what I really want to ask at this point before we get to our mid-break, does this mean just like horrible things for smartwatches? Because Google just scooped up, they have their Nest integration. They're calling their products Nest. They even scooped up Fossil for smartwatches, but to not even have anything to say about smartwatches or Wear OS in general, like how do you guys feel about the future of wearables if this is how little they gave it at a developer conference?
For me, with so many things going on, honestly, I actually forgot about Wear OS.
Oh God,
and I'm not trying to.
that's their
bag
fault.
on,
Though. That's
on
their
it.
fault. That's my point.
It is, and for the most part, I haven't been using Wear OS. I switched back to Tizen mostly because of just the ecosystem and the battery life, if nothing else. But yeah, it's interesting to see that they're not trying to put more focus on it. That we haven't seen a lot of updates coming up. And a lot of the limitations and the new things that we talked about as far as, with new Wear OS 2.0 and even 2.2 coming out to some certain devices, we haven't heard much. It's been quiet ever since around CES, really. I mean, it's been roughly about 5 months now. That's the last time I think we talked about like 2.1 or even 2.2.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I wonder, there's two minds for this, right? Either they're just like scared and they don't want to talk about it, or maybe they're working on something and they're like, let's back off until that's ready. And like, version 3 or whatever the heck will come out.
I hope so.
But
I hope
that's
so,
an
yeah.
optimistic view, obviously.
Well, so keep in mind that some of the things they showed us at I/O were very much earlier stages of things. Like I went through a demo of the that new assistant option where they talked about the better integration on the device,
Yeah.
where it runs at the bottom of your display, and that was actually pretty much almost like a pre-recorded video, very limited in functionality, very early. And I would have loved to see if they were thinking about doing a revamp. I mean, they revamped Android Auto, the entire UI for the most part. It's going to be revamped, more Android esque, I would say. Like an app drawer, a notification center, something that we normally don't have.
Yeah,
So
because they talked
I
about
would have loved to
tiles,
see some-
didn't they? Tiles happened right before Google I/O. So the idea is swiping left and right rather than cards. God, I always hated cards. This is the worst idea for like something that's supposed to be quick. You know? But yeah, okay. So Android Q, Cogen, I'm sorry, we haven't had a whole lot for you to talk about in this particular segment.
It's okay.
Pixel 3a though, once we get
I'm enjoying listening to you guys. It's great.
the moment we get back from the break though, we're gonna talk Pixel 3a. I want to get your extended thoughts on this phone. But yeah, Android Q, since TK and I are the ones who are actually using it, some thoughts from you, TK, about Android Q, coming from the XDA side of things. Like anything that you want to sort of share, any thoughts that you want to give, because my main hot take is I still hate full screen gestures, but okay.
It's mostly what we did with Android Q at this point, and there's a lot of new things coming up. As far as just the gesture overall, I think they're still in the stages of figuring it out. As we remember, this is not the final product, so this isn't, and we can't really criticize it to its fullest till they put this in a final version. But they are at least allowing us to, well, they're trying to basically centralize or basically unify the ecosystem, right? They're pretty much trying to force almost all OEMs to use one certain type of gestures, which really makes me sad because I love OnePlus gestures. That's just my thing. And I actually, even EMUI gestures are actually pretty decent.
Which is basically
but
what we have
that,
here. You go backwards by going off the sides.
Exactly, and what the other thing that was really nice, in my opinion at least, still is the fact that we got the navigation buttons back. That was something that we lost before. So yeah, so as Josh is showing, you just half swipe and then try that 45-degree angle swipe from the bottom.
What do you mean 45? Like from the corner?
Yeah, swipe up, diagonal.
Oh,
Voila.
What? I didn't know that. My bad. I was just about to complain about like there's no way to get straight to Google Assistant, and you just taught me. Okay, learn something every single day.
The more you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be back later. No, yeah, but nobody talked about it, right? So for the most part, and it's not even in the instructions when you're going through the options when you turn on gestures, right? You skip through the instructions. None of them say go diagonal, and suddenly you're launching the assistant.
But that's also so complicated. Like, okay, part of the reason why I hate full screen gestures is because there's so much room for error. Like, so I know that I can hit a button and it will get me to recent apps. I know that I can, go here, go there. And that's the other reason why I actually don't really like the OnePlus gestures, because it's to the sides of the middle, which already sounds ridiculous to me. But yeah, to go backwards, you have to go from like the 30% of this side or this side. If you go from the middle, you go home. And it's like, and even now, like I have problems where I'm trying to swipe up from somewhere and I end up going home. Like if I was on Reddit and I try to swipe up to scroll down the page, I go home. And like it pisses me off.
Well, because the actual bar at the bottom is actually a bar. It's a very small portion of the display, but it's an actual bar that's just very, very thin. So in reality, you always have to remember to kind of start a little bit above. But yeah, you're inevitably going to initiate
basically
gesture.
Let's put it this way: navigation has to happen in this zone right here. If
yeah.
you go too far to the right, too far to the left, you're going back. If you go too far below, you're going into your app drawer or to your recent apps.
Or swipe.
The swiping back and forth to the different apps, like that's fine. I can get used to that.
I like that actually. Yeah, it's very nice. It's pretty smooth.
It makes way more sense than the stupid pill.
You know, I think the pill was more of a visual effect so that people knew where to put their finger kind of thing. But that, Pi and the early versions of Q kind of got us used to that. So as long as you're used to the pill effect, that's when you minimize it so you don't know where you have to see it.
People knew where to put their finger when they had buttons. What was wrong with that? Everyone's so obsessed with having so much screen.
Hey, remember the argument that you and I had, Josh? Gestures versus buttons.
Yeah.
I'm always for gestures.
I'm always for buttons, yeah.
Kogan,
I don't know if you ever saw that, but Juan had us on for one of his debates. And he had TK be on the side of gestures, and I was on the side of buttons. And a lot of
And
people.
we were even talking about the soft buttons. It was actually, hard, like physical buttons. We were talking about the key. So yeah.
Yeah. So of course,
Wait, so who won?
I don't think anyone really won. Like, okay,
Nobody.
I was complaining at the end because it's so hard to.
TK thinks he won.
Well, you know what? TK could just
That
straight
was
up be
not
like, you know what? Android went to gestures. I won. So,
I just had to wait. That's all I had to do.
well, what was funny was a lot of people in the live chat already thought that I lost because my Exhibit A was the BlackBerry Key 2.
Yeah, you went for like real buttons.
Yeah, exactly. But then I redeemed myself by saying, TK, tell me what keyboard you're using. And then that was when I was like, tactile. That's right.
You got to go mechanical. Mechanical keyboards all the way.
Yeah.
But I love your travel setup too as well. But to me, I feel like gestures, are going to be the way mostly. Well, actually, there was other things that we were talking about during the developer conference, which is that day 2. They're trying to actually start looking at the options of not just using air gestures. So you notice how they did that with the Nest, right? There's functionality with air gestures on that.
Everyone's getting LG triggered right now, yeah.
So
if I could reach up right here and change my Nest like this, because it's right there, if I could do that, then I'm down. But no, I can't.
So there are things that are coming there that will start using gesture to interact with basically Internet of Things, IoT stuff. So there's going to be other things coming on, and I feel like they feel like gestures on the screen is limiting. Air gestures are going to be the next thing. So,
well, my problem with that though is that like air gestures look ridiculous, right? Like no developer ever
especially
thinks
when
of that.
people are around you, right?
Yeah, so like you're telling me they're doing IoT stuff with that, fine, because that's in the privacy of my own home.
Yeah.
Like,
And
that's okay.
That's
but as
how
soon
they're
as it's
targeting.
like the G8, like me trying to, this looks ridiculous. I don't care
Look
who.
into my eye.
Right,
Yeah.
like it's I don't.
Can you
know.
imagine
I mean,
that?
look,
Isn't that the
and
world
also
that
they
we're
don't-
all
they just don't
trying to
work
have,
very
though?
well.
Like, okay,
That's
so
the other problem.
you live in New York. You live in New York, obviously. You're in Brooklyn, Cogen. What if you get on the subway and everyone is just like that? They're just like here, there. Everyone's sitting on the subway, just doing this
No.
whole thing. You don't want
'Cause
that?
nobody in their right mind would do that.
Well, we had that.
It'll
Didn't we have
never
that
happen.
At some point, I forgot. There was at a certain stage they used to initiate that for skipping images. They're using the front-facing camera. We've had that, and we
We
surpassed
definitely
it.
have that, and it did not take.
No, nobody wants to shoo the fly away every single time he wants to look at a picture.
I'm sorry, they just look ridiculous. And it's the problem is too is that like it's not worth. It doesn't actually make things faster, right? Like because the only time we've ever really used air gestures, and sure, like maybe there's something I haven't thought of that it would be cool for, but like it's always to do something that I could easily do instead of this. It doesn't. This is not.
That was too complicated.
Like,
You had to get closer to it. You had to touch
oh God, yeah, those.
Yeah.
This. Oh, you're right. If only I could do it from here.
It's literally
this would be so much easier.
It's literally
than this.
4 inches. 4 inches
Right.
of distance.
And none of them work further than about this distance anyway. So it's sorry.
I definitely think the approach they did with the Nest the Nest Hub Max. Sorry, got to slow myself there.
Tell me more about that. What did they do?
So
like, why?
the interface was the only thing they were able to demo for us right now was essentially pause and play, but it worked. There was a couple of things. They had facial recognition on the Home Max. I'm just going to refer to it as the Max from now on.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, perfect. Let's do that.
So they initiated profile recognition on the Max, as well as personalized items. So you no longer have to have let's say if you have a family, obviously, and you have multiple people in the living room, but you don't want your personal calendar events and all of that stuff to show up on it, you set it up by a profile. So anytime you're in front of it, it recognizes you and it puts a picture on the top right. And at that point, your personal information is there. And the moment you step away and it stops seeing you, all of that goes away. It just goes back to default mode. And that was genius. And the gestures for the most part is basically you put your hand, as long as you're centered in front of it and there's good lighting, you put your hand in front of it and it pauses, you put it again, it starts again. It's great if you're in the kitchen, you're cooking, your hands are dirty, you're playing with the kids, you don't want to have to go over there or scream and just say the hey command. And it was definitely very...
Out of the three of us,
how far does it work?
Out of the three of us, TK is the only one who can actually attest to that experience.
Right. Wait, so wait, how far away does it work? Like, did you test it?
He was about maybe a foot and a half. His hand was about a foot and a half away, and it was actually overall really good. It worked right away. It was about maybe a half a second, and it recognized and it paused the music, and then he just looked again, puts his hand, and it does the exact same thing. No flipping gestures yet. Mostly just it recognizing a hand in front of it, and I think it just looks at the shape as long as it looks like something that's similar. Because the camera didn't look like it was using any other technology other than just being a camera. It was a wide-angle lens.
Like IR or anything like
no. It was a single sensor, wide-angle lens
camera.
cropped. No.
Oh,
Sorry.
But they did have a few extra tricks there as well. So they use a wide-angle lens, but they crop it in the sensor so that they simulate a movement. Kind of like how we saw it on the Facebook, what is it called? The Facebook cam, the portal, where the entire thing moves. Well, this one, what it does is just changes focus, so it moves within the frame, simulating it. But it worked. Overall, I'm very, very impressed with the way they did it. It looks like it's a much better product than what we saw with the original smart displays.
How about the stop thing? Didn't they do that where they're making it now so that you don't have to be saying "Hey G" or "Okay G" so much. Continuous conversation,
exactly.
Which I'm personally appreciative of, only because I'm always around my parents when they try to use our Google Home, and they're actually trying to have a conversation with it. Like they ask it a question, it answers, and they go "Thank you," and I'm like, "You're saying thank you to an inanimate object."
Yeah. Also, you need to say "Okay, G, thank you."
Exactly.
You have to wake it up again to tell it to tell it.
Yeah.
And like, my pleasure.
Wake it up to thank it. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the thing we've had for a long time in Amazon.
Continuous conversation. I
don't have to say that name at all to Amazon. So what happens is, like, the blue light on it just stays lit when you're done talking, and that indicates to you that you can keep asking, and then eventually it fades off. So if you keep asking, it'll just keep going. It's not obviously as good as Google when it comes to, like, context awareness.
I was going to say there's the contextual conversation.
Because Google has the data, and, like, that's not really, Amazon can't do that. But it does have that, like, more natural way of talking. So, like, I'm happy it's finally coming to Google, because it's just now I'm so used to doing that with Amazon that I don't.
So we've had continuous conversation on Google for a while, but it's mostly been
on mobile.
I want to say it's been on Google Home. I actually did a video asking it 107 questions.
Like
in a row? Without
having to...
continuous asking 107 questions. I had my son onto that one because I wanted to see how far can I go, right? I mean, it's like you can have maybe 1 or 2, 3 maybe, but as long as you didn't go into a yes or no, or a specific something that was more than a yes or no. I take that back. It's more if you ask it to answer you something that's a little bit long, it for some reason lost sync. But as long as you kept short questions and commands, like you can combine things. We've had it for some time, and it just...
Wait, but is that just for asking questions? Or you could also say, like, "Hey, G, turn on that light."
Yep.
Turn on that light. Turn on
that light.
You could do that on top of when, let's say, you wanted to play music. You can tell it to play the song, set the volume, and then go away to tell it to turn the lights on in this room, turn off the lights in that room.
Without saying "Okay, G"?
Without having saying it. I
thought that was the thing that is now new. No? Because I've not been able to do that on mine. Maybe I just haven't...
What the new thing about it was that now it's computationally being done on device.
Yeah. Oh, got it. Got it. So the reaction time is a lot faster. Is the idea.
And that's what they demoed on it. The girl was on, like, spitfiring questions one after another, and I'm like, wow. And at the end, she showed us she was on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but still.
Oh, well,
so it was fine.
But like the way that they presented it on stage, I like that a lot, because it was showing what you were saying beside the pill, which...
the transcribe function.
Yeah, which I thought was great, because like you'd be able to see in real time, contextually, based upon what app you're in, how your voice and how what you're saying actually applies to what you're trying to do, which made perfect sense to me. I loved that part of the keynote. It's probably the only part that I really enjoyed, because I want to use that. I personally do. Like I've been hearing a lot of people recently like complain about when I was picking up this Pixel 3a, and we're going to get to our mid break in a second. When I was picking up the Pixel 3a, there was actually somebody talking to a Best Buy mobile like salesperson, and was like, "What's this button over here on the side? Like, I never use it. Should I?" And the guy goes, "That's Bixby. Never use it." And and she's like, "Is it like Siri? Is it like Siri?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, it's like Siri in that you shouldn't use it. If you're using, like, just use just use Google. And I was like, damn, like, okay. But you know what? I fit that description. I've never used Siri. I'd never used Bixby. It's always about Google Assistant. So when they were saying those things on stage, I was like, let's do it. Google Assistant, let's do it. This episode of The Weekly is brought to you by the Brave browser, available now for all platforms, including Android, iOS, Windows, and Mac. The Brave browser is up to 8 times faster than Chrome, yet it is based on Chromium, so all of your plugins work. It blocks ads out of the box, and if you opt into Brave Rewards, you can earn free BAT cryptocurrency by allowing the browser to show you occasional, high-quality, non-intrusive ads. So I've been using Brave browser for a long time by now. I actually have it on all of my computers. I did a video on Pocketnow regarding why I like the Brave browser, and it really comes down to this one screen where it tells you all of the ads and all of the trackers that it has blocked. I don't know what's going on in the internet right now that I have over 400,000 ads blocked, but that's the number I have, so Brave browser must be doing a pretty good job. In any case, you can head over to pocketnow.com/brave for more information. Now we can get into it. I'm sure a lot of people are wanting to know more and more about this crazy, I'm going to call it a crazy device that was just announced by Google. Everyone's talking about the Pixel 3a and the 3a XL, what I call the 3-axle. And the
it is a 3-axle, actually, if you read it.
Yeah, exactly. So Cogen, since we haven't heard from you too much in the first segment, I want to get your extended thoughts about like how you feel about this phone. You're doing a day in the life today, so I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on it.
Yeah. I like this phone. I'm my biggest thing, just to like cut to the chase, right? Like, is I feel like this has the good things of the Pixel 3 and some of the bad things, but I'm way more forgiving of the bad things, and I'm way more excited about the good things because it's half the price. Like, I'm having a hard time, and maybe you guys can tell me. Like, I've only literally had a day with it, so hear me out. And like filmed the entire day. But like, I don't really know who I would recommend to. Like, if you were thinking about getting a Pixel, like a 3, I would probably tell you to get the 3A and not the 3. And I don't know, and maybe you guys tell me again, why you would tell somebody to get the 3 instead of the 3A, except for gaming. That's the only thing, because the processor is like, frame rates are not going to be the same.
No.
Other than that, using day-to-day stuff, like, it seems very similar, if not the same. Like, slightly laggier, but not bad. Like, you wouldn't notice.
And I can give you a couple of tips on to why some of that lag is in there. But yeah, Josh, you want to try that one first? Or you want me to?
Well, I will say this. Like, I do think that, okay, for $400, there is... It's so hard to not recommend this phone to pretty much anybody, especially since the vast majority of the people, and correct me if I'm wrong for the three of us that are in this podcast, the vast majority of the people that we have in our lives don't actually need to be spending so much on a phone because they're not going to do the gaming. They're not going to do they're not videographers or filmmakers or photographers on the level that we are, where we require all of these crazy things in phones. Sometimes you just want a phone that works, and most people still have like some of the peripherals that most flagships are starting to sort of put by the wayside, like a headphone jack. And like it's great to see a back to basics approach. I remember when all of the leaks were coming out for the Pixel 3a, I was scoffing the entire time. I think it was last week that I actually said, like, do we need another Pixel? And everyone was like, But now we have a $400 phone that actually gets so many things right. And I tweeted the other day that I think that this phone is a great palate cleanser. Also, I noticed that no one caught that I spelled palette wrong. But it's a total palate.
Now they will.
Yeah, now they will. Yeah, now I'm going to get tweets from everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a total palate cleanser because not to get into any of the stuff that's still under embargo, obviously, I just want to say that right now it's such an exciting time for phones, but it's also very overwhelming. So I'm happy to have a phone that is just like, here you go. Like, just use me. Just use me. I got you covered. It's all good. Like, if you don't ask too much of me, I will give you everything you need. Like, that's how I feel about the Pixel 3a, and I love it. I absolutely love that about it. Gaming, you're right, Cogen, and I think TK, you were going to talk a little bit about the performance aspect. My favorite games lag on this phone, and does it keep me from playing them? No, you can still play these games, no problem. It's just, if you didn't already have a phone that was so good at performing, so good at performance for those games, you wouldn't notice. It's just a little bit more of a pause that is inconceivable to most people unless you have a flagship right next to it. So yeah,
definitely. No, some of the things that attribute to the slightly slower performance is the fact that we also have eMMC type of storage in here. We're not using UFS the same as other devices. There's quite a bit of compromises that were done. A lot of us. So I thought about it after I saw the phone the first couple of days, and I realistically started looking at it. I know we inadvertently want to compare it to the 3 and the 3XL, right? Because those are the two that kind of share the same name. But I feel like this is a different category. This is more because they didn't really. Because I want to say, we didn't really compromise. It's not downgrading. It started off with the 670. It's a new category. We don't have an actual precedence to it. This is just it's similar in name because they just didn't want to invent a new name in the middle of the year. Because we'll still see the 4s and we'll see the 4XL. For what they have to offer for $400 or $470, depending on the model, it definitely is the device that most people will, if they get, will be very happy with it. If you are used to having a Ferrari and you drive a regular car, you're going to feel things are slower. But if you're driving your car and your car is just basically like a Honda or your normal Toyota, Honda, and so on, there's nothing wrong with them. And getting into this car will definitely feel very comfortable and pleasantly surprised as far as performance and camera, because I think that's the little hidden thing. A lot of ours, when you recommend to people, they say, how does the audio, how does it play? It has stereo speakers. It has a headphone jack. It does have, a very good camera, not as many microphones, but, in the comparison in the US market right now, we don't have another option. Yeah. This is actually in its own category.
So where do you, by the way, that whole car analogy, Cogen can't really relate. He's a subway guy.
It's like going on the bullet train and then suddenly going to San Francisco.
The regular You're going from the bullet train to the L train. So it's a huge downgrade.
No, that's not right.
Yeah. No, we've been, I feel like we've been lucky enough to be able to, enjoy and use the obviously the higher performance vehicles or the higher performance devices, and it is easy for us to compare. But the reality is, this is its own category. It's not a Nexus. It's not a standard Pixel, but it's Google's approach to say, look, we're going to give you some of the best software experience that we can, but at a much better price point that you can get into. And if you want more and you want some of those extra perks, we have the higher end.
So
my question still is,
who's this for?
No, not at all. Like I understand that, and like to call this a new category, I don't know if I totally agree with that. Like it's in a mid-tier, like all the other mid-tiers, but it does a way better job at software and camera, right? Period.
That's the category.
It's a killer in that category, as far as I'm concerned. But like, what about, if I still don't know, if somebody was like, I'm going to get a Pixel 3, I might be like, you're only getting that because you want the camera, right? Yeah, all right, here, saved you $400. Like, I don't, right? Like, unless they're going to game. That's the only thing I can think of. Do you guys have any other time that you'd be like, you should get the 3 and not the 3A? That's what I want to know.
So where do you land on like Google? Because the way that I just thought of this right now, but it feels like Google's trying to redeem the sins of the Pixel 3. Like, let's call them sins. Let's just say what it is, because there are cues in this phone. There's no notch. There's the headphone jack. What else is there? And I actually don't agree with many people out there who say that the build of this thing is cheap. Yes, it's plastic, but once upon a time, $800 phones were all plastic. So like, get off your high horse. Like that doesn't.
I still think this feels really nice. Like the only way that I know that the 3 feels better is if I have the two of them side by side.
That's exactly what happened to me. Yeah, the first time I held it, I had both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's when you draw the comparison is when you start having like, well, look at it by itself. Take it as its own.
That's
product.
what I mean. Like, this is nice.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, and you know what? I also said I made sure to get the smaller one because honestly, I've been always picking the big ones. I have the iPhone XS Max. I have the Pixel 3 XL. I'm kind of sick of big phones. If I'm absolutely honest, like I totally get that everyone wants like all of this screen. That's why gestures are a thing. That's why curved displays are a thing. That's why notchless phones or mechanical front-facing cameras or whatever you want to call it, like the Reno. Like I get it. Those are all such beautiful phones. But come on, like if it's really hard for me to switch what account I'm using on Gmail, doesn't that detract from the overall experience? And that's just my thing. Maybe I got small hands. I'm giving everyone on Twitter a bunch of fodder to make fun of me today. So maybe I got small hands, but you know what? Like there are people out there with small hands, all right? So who cares? But yeah, I personally am so happy with the experience that I've had so far. Like, did either of you do camera comparisons just yet with the original Pixel or with any other phones? Like, where do you? Oh, okay, so Kogan's nodding his head.
I didn't get to that.
It's all in the day.
This is your that's your bread and butter. Yeah, exactly. So, what did you find out in that testing?
Or any sneak peeks you can give us?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, so like I'm still literally like, as soon as we're done here, I'm running back to my office to finish editing this video. But like so far, like so we are missing the Google, what do they call it? Visual core.
The visual core is not there. Yeah,
it's not there. But like put the photos from this side by side with the 3, and you'd have a hard time telling. Like it's like 95% there, and so like that's pretty, again, cool to me. And again, like further fuels this whole, like, I'm not sure why you'd get a Pixel 3, but yeah, I mean, and that's the same camera that's always kind of eked out against all of the other cameras anyway, right? Like, and yes, it like not over processes. It does what it thinks a photo editor would do to the photo immediately, and that's why a lot of us would look at it and straight out of the camera go, this looks better to me. And they do a good job of that with their software. Yeah. But like, yeah, I mean, this one does the same thing as the regular Pixel. So like, I don't know. That's amazing for $400. Jesus.
Do you miss having other lenses? Because that's another thing. The Pixel is like pretty squarely the only phone that has the one lens and is like, we got this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I do. I like having multiple lenses because also people like us that are used to having multiple lenses on our real camera, or like having a telephoto where I can actually like zoom in and out and not like, pinch to zoom pixelated crap. I do miss that, yeah, for sure. But I mean, honestly, if you take the photo with this, it's still like, at the end of the day, like the photo that comes out of this, yes, you have less framing options, right? But like the photo that comes out is still going to look really damn good.
Yeah.
So.
TK, you didn't find any of the Moment guys out in I/O, did you? The Moment lens guys?
No, I didn't see.
They're usually around for these things. I remember when the Pixel 3 was announced, they were giving away cases and lenses. They were like, "There's only one lens on this phone. Let's help you out." Like, and I love those guys.
Yeah, I never really thought of that, but yeah, I should maybe look into some Moment lenses too, because that's kind of cool.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know if they have a case yet for this, but I do have a solution for that I'm not gonna say here, but I'll talk about some other time. But in any case, yeah, right. So one lens also on the front. So there were a number of tweets and Instagram posts saying that the wide-angle lens on the Pixel 3, not the 3A, because they don't have it here, people kind of miss it. And I get where that's coming from, but like this is a level of attention to detail that I feel Google has been missing for a little while. The fact that they don't have a wide-angle lens on the front, but they made sure that this lens was right in the middle of the focal lengths of the two lenses of the last phone. Yeah, quite literally.
Right.
I was like, that's
2 millimeters off of both, right?
That's super cool. Like I don't know why, but that made me smile. I was like, cool. I like that. Like you got me. Yeah. TK, any thoughts on the phone? You have both. So like, do you have a preference between the larger one and the 3A?
I personally like the larger one for a couple of reasons: the display, but also the battery. There's a big difference between battery on both of these guys. The small one I think you guys have is like about 3,000 milliamps, and the other one's like 3,700. So it's
a big difference.
Yeah. So to me, I really find it very interesting how such a small bit difference can bump it up so high. But the overall battery life has been really good. But running it with Android Q for the last, actually as I got it out of the box, I just put Q on it right away, because the experience for me, I wanted to see some of the new, like the transcribe functionality, some of the stuff that they talked about at I/O, and it's really nice. I think overall, for what it offers, I think it's a great phone that I have no problem recommending for the price point. Nothing against, again, like you guys were saying, if you want the horsepower, you have the 3 and the 3XL. But if you're just an average user, kind of like I would say like a Chromebook almost experience, you don't need the full PC setup. It definitely does a really good job. I like it, and I like some of the new features. It does run a little bit smoother on Q, in my opinion, at least, than when it ran on Pi. Just a little bit. Yeah,
I'm gonna mess with that as soon as this other video is done.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because I want to check that out.
Someone's calling me on. I'm the host, and I'm the one messing up today.
Podcast, man. Silence some things.
Where is that? I don't even know where that's coming from. Hold on.
Go find it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Cool. All right. So it's funny. Total tangent, but yesterday when I was driving back home from my office, there was an Amber Alert going off and I couldn't reach the phone in my trunk. So it had that really, really uncomfortable buzz going off for like a 20-minute drive. It was bad. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. I want to add one.
Wait, is that who just called you?
It was an 800 number, so I just let it go.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like, what did that have to do with the Amber Alert? I thought maybe like the lost person finally called you.
Oh,
Like,
no.
I'm found. It's cool. And you're like, oh, great. Thanks. Sounds good.
No, not at all. That's awesome. What was I going to say? The one last wrinkle I wanted to add to this, though, because we're all pretty much in agreement that this is a pretty compelling device, especially at its price point. Google's basically doing the Xiaomi thing and creating a phone and selling it at the cost. Because I would imagine that this phone is roughly $400 to make. Maybe obviously less than that, but it's what my point is. It's not a $700 phone with $400 specs. So,
Exactly.
But here's the thing. I just mentioned Xiaomi. I see a lot of people that were talking on my Pixel 3a unboxing video saying like the problem with this phone is that it only really makes sense in the West. It's a $400 phone. Everyone's going to be recommending it in Canada, in the US, but here in like Southeast Asia, in India, we have so many phones that are even cheaper than this. And so many phones that are just a little bit more expensive than this that provide way, way more.
But they're just talking about specs. Like at the end of the day, I think this because I had the same things in my comments too. Like this phone for $400 is going to provide a killer software and camera, right? Like that to me is, it gives it like a little bit of a step up on the Xiaomis of the world. Like I'm sorry,
and 3
like,
years of support, not the security.
That
updates.
too, right? And like and Q coming and like I don't know. I think this is now like the Pixel for outside of the West in a way, right? Like I think it's probably what they're going after. Because the truth of the matter is, like, as far as the West is concerned, and anywhere that has like subsidized phones, like we all do, this is $15 a month. The real Pixel, the Pixel 3 is, $27, right? So like it's not a Pixel for us either, because for you $7, you might as well get the high end, whatever. Like nobody ever buys the low tier phone in the United States, right? Because it's so easy to get to the next tier. It doesn't matter, right? Like an iPhone is $30 for the iPhone 10, right? 10s, right? So I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I think this phone stands out on its own at a $400 phone. I think it competes with those other guys.
Okay. TK,
no,
you do TK.
No.
You do a lot of work with like the Honors of the world and the Huawei. We all do work with the Huawei's of the world. Well, then actually, now that I think about Huawei, doesn't necessarily have a budget phone, but Xiaomi, there's one.
They do. The Honor and both Honor and Huawei do have the budget line. It's the best way to describe it is what we used to get here in the US, the X model. Like the 7X, the 6X, and the 5X. The last few devices they released, Huawei has a similar one. I forgot the name of it, but it's similarly basically. But that one wasn't a mid-ranger. That's more of a budget friendly, like the sub $200 category.
Yeah.
I think what David has with the approach, you're right. You have to look at it from the sense of it's kind of like the service plan, right? You're not just buying the car. You're buying the car, and how long can you keep it running? Right. Having the ability of getting the upgrade from Pi to Q and the security updates and so on beyond the first year, beyond the second year, and going into the third year does kind of factor in the overall price of a phone if you're considering to keep it more than a year. Obviously, you have to kind of look at what you're trying to get. Is it a direct? I would say it's not definitely. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a shoe-in for outside markets like Asia and specifically in India, because it's actually more expensive. It's weird enough, it's not $400, the equivalent of that. I think I saw it where in one of my responses also.
It's more expensive.
It's more
because of like import and whatever.
I'm assuming it's some either taxes or so on, but it actually costs more, and that's why people are comparing it to the Xiaomi of all things.
I see that a lot in comments and tweets. I think the last one that I saw actually was in India. It's the equivalent of $575.
Exactly. Yeah, it was over $500 compared to us
for the 3A.
Yeah.
Dang.
So it doesn't make sense, right? So for them, it's a little bit harder. It's still cheaper than if you had to go with the regular Pixel, but when you look at it from the overall experience and how much their pocket is having to take responsibility for.
Right.
Yeah, I can see why they'd have a hard time, but you have to use it. You have to see the camera. You have to use and realize what you're getting for that, and with the backup behind it and all the improvements, because we will get more improvements. I think there's also new video mode time lapse that's coming out specifically to the 3A.
I have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just came.
Really?
And it's gonna other devices will have it soon.
But and it's not just that. Like, I totally agree with you. Like, I think that's something they have to think about.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
but
there it
like,
is. Yeah,
also
time-lapse.
it's in there. The software experience
it's a new one,
itself is
they announced
just
it, yeah.
better, right? Like, I'm sorry, like Xiaomi specs amazing, yeah, really cool, and it's like 5 something, right? That's cool, but like, I don't know, like this camera is gonna do a better job. Period. I don't care what Sony sensor you're using, right? Like, this is just if you're just like out of the box taking a photo, boom, like this is still going to do better than a lot of those. Mm-hmm. And then also software wise, like I would much rather use this than like
any of those OSs.
EMUI. Like EMUI's gotten better. Like, let me not say EMUI, but like some of those other ones, like their UIs are trash.
It's a market. Yeah.
They're just not very good.
And on that note,
yes, different market. No, that's a fair point. You have a fair point. Like they're a little probably more geared towards those specific tastes of other markets than say these are. Agreed, totally. Yeah. But like even like performance wise, this is smooth compared. I don't know. I like stock Android. We're gonna call this stock Android. It's not, but
Pixel launcher basically.
Pixel Android.
Yeah, I agree. I've come to really enjoy some of the other operating systems though. But then again, the ones that we really enjoy are starting to become more available. So, I mean, I guess what I'm about to say is kind of moot, but like Oxygen OS, we tend to like.
Yeah, Oxygen. That's one of my favorite ones that's not Pixel.
Yeah. I actually like it.
But it's because it's minimal. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah. I actually like MIUI now. I used to hate it too. But EMUI, still not a fan. LG.
It's all gotten better.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I agree.
No.
All right, cool.
But if I had a choice, like this UI over that UI.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Well, it looks like we're all pretty much in agreement with when it comes to the Pixel 3a. All enjoying it so far, but of course, it's not the only phone that we're hearing a lot more of in these coming weeks. Can't talk about them, but there's a lot coming. Like everyone, we're all going to be traveling one way or another in the next 2-3 weeks. So there's a lot happening.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
May is a crazy month.
We're all going to the OnePlus event, though, right? All three of us?
Yep.
I'll be there.
You'll be there? All right, sweet. So maybe... Yeah.
Come on down, guys.
It's like a few days away. It's crazy. Man. In any case, we are all going to see each other next week, and hopefully we'll be able to get together to do a live, not really a live, but like a in-person podcast with everybody, as we tend to do during these events. In any case, that will go ahead and do it for this edition of the Weekly. I'm going to go ahead and let the two of you tell everybody where they can find you. Let's start with TK.
So pretty easy. Just look for TK Bay, B-A-Y, on YouTube, Instagram, and as well, of course, on Twitter. That's the easy way. XDA developers all over the place there.
Always great to have you on, TK. Thank you. And also great to have David Cogen on. Let everybody know where they can find you as well.
I'm at theunlockr with an E missing in the word unlocker. And on Twitter, Facebook, just all the socials, really. Like, you just type that into any of them, and generally I'll show up.
Just actually, even if you spell it correctly, I was going to say bring you up.
Hopefully.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Let's put in a quick. I'm going to put in a quick plug to. When's your day in the live video coming out? Is it going to be today, or is it going to be
mine?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's really funny. On the screen, you look like you're looking at TK.
Yeah, it's the whole...
And I'm like, he's asking you a question, TK. I'm trying to get it up today. I have a phone call in a little bit, but hopefully tonight. Okay. Tonight, if not early tomorrow morning. That'll be probably more likely.
All right, cool. Well, make sure you check that out. I'm sure Cogen will have a lot of great insights on the Pixel 3a in that case. But yeah, look forward to even more about those phones and all of the phones that are going to be coming out fairly soon. There's so many things going on. In any case, you can find me all over social media at JVTechT. You know me, I'm JV. I love tech and I love to drink me some tea. Pocketnow is at Pocketnow on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube in English and Espanol, where you can find more news on the Pocketnow Daily and Pocketnow Audio every weekday. Catch up with what the Weekly is talking talking about at pocketnow.com/podcast. Also, make sure you make your voices heard by emailing us podcast@pocketnow.com. We would certainly appreciate your feedback through reviews and ratings on Google, Apple, Spotify, Overcast, or wherever you might be streaming us, because without you, we would not be able to make this show every single week. TK, David Cogen, thank you so much for coming on for this week's episode. We will see you all next week in our next episode. See you later, guys.